Hi kids, this is totally what I do for fun on a Sunday night. I prepare videos to teach you about the basic dialogue rules. So there have actually been a lot of questions about how do we punctuate and format our dialogue. So we're going to just start with the easiest piece, which is simply how we're going to use punctuation and where capitalization fits in. So in all dialogue, typically you have something called a dialogue tag, like Bob said, Bob yelled, Bob asked. Probably a way cooler name than Bob, but here we are. That's the dialogue tag. It's sort of signaling that what follows is what a character is going to say. And then you have the dialogue itself. And the dialogue itself is inside of quotation marks, right? So if we have dialogue tag Bob said, go outside. Go outside is what we would observe Bob actually saying if we were going to film it. Okay? So if the dialogue is first, you're going to use a comma for statements. So if typically that would be just a sentence and you would normally put a period, you're going to put a comma followed by the dialogue tag. If Bob's a little aggro, he's a little upset, he's like up to here with his kids or whoever it is he's trying to get out of his house, and it's more of an exclamatory, like a high feeling statement, then you would normally use an exclamation mark, as in this one. Go outside, Bob yelled. You go ahead and put that exclamation mark there because that is almost like its own little word. It adds extra meaning. If Bob's asking a question, he's just a curious dude. He wants to know. And he says, did you go outside? Bob asked. That question mark also is like its own word. It has extra meaning that a period doesn't. So really, all you've got to remember is that you're going to use exclamation marks and question marks where they would normally go no matter what. If you would have a period, typically you're going to use a comma when the dialogue comes first. However, if you've got that tag coming first, as in up here, right? We've got Bob said, Bob yelled, and Bob asked. When we're using the dialogue tag, that introduction that, hey, Bob's gonna say something or yell something or ask something, then you go ahead and you put a comma right before the quotation mark, right? Do you see that comma there? It's red, it's underlined, right? And we're basically introducing it. Hey, this is what he said, this is what he yelled, or this is what he asked. Okay? So dialogue tag comes first, you put a comma, the dialogue comes first, then it is really what is the meaning, and a comma substitutes for a period. Otherwise, you're going to use the exclamation mark or the question mark. So let's talk about the capitalization piece of things. Ooh, I can't get this to the right part. All right. So you're always going to capitalize the first letter of dialogue inside of quotation marks. Think of it this way. So you've got a dialogue tag, whether it's before or whether it's after. But if it's before, a lot of times we look at this and say, well, but like the sentence got started here, right? It got started there with Bob or the or whatever it is, right? So why would we capitalize this? And that's because that is the beginning of your character's sentence. So even though we've got this dialogue, we've got what the writer has written, we've got a narrator, we're going to go ahead and also signal that this is the beginning of your character sentence, and we're going to capitalize the first word of the sentence inside of dialogue. Okay? If the dialogue tag comes after the dialogue itself, it will always, unless it's somebody's name, it is going to be a lowercase letter, right? So go outside, said Bob. Go outside, yelled Bob. Or, did you go outside? Asked Bob. We're going to lowercase that because that is really just a part of an existing sentence. We just happen to start the sentence with the dialogue here. Okay? I hope that makes sense. It just takes some attention and some practice. After a while, you're totally going to get it.